Well, he was told, he was asked to translate the dreams. He says, I will translate it.
Right, that's exactly it.
In my mouth, that's what I say.
Exactly.
So
okay, good evening, Rabbatai. So we're going to do tonight one of the most crucial issues about our lives, which is Parnassa. Talking about Parnassa. Because everybody needs Parnassa, everybody wants Parnassa, everybody's going for Parnassa, everybody's thinking about Parnassa. Everybody also is lacking Parnassa. Most of us are lacking also. We need more. So we have to go that extra mile, to try to facilitate our Parnassa as well. So in order to do this, I wanted to explain some amazing passages which I saw in the Zohar Kadosh. These are from Parashat Beshalach. Now Parashat Beshalach, it's the parsha that talks about the man. Right? So the man was actually one of the biggest symbols of Parnassa that we have in the Torah. What does that mean? That this rain was coming down, the food was coming down, raining down on us. But it has also much symbolism, which can explain many things. So to see this according to Zohar Kadosh, the very deep explanation, really helps us out, because it helps us to understand also there are passages about the man in the Torah which don't seem to make sense, contradict each other as well. Not so clear. So in order to get into a little bit, we start to read the Zohar Kadosh. It says like this, right? It says, "Hineni mamtir lachem lechem min hashamayim, Rabbi Yosef potech et yadecha umasbia lechoch haratzon, ma ketiv le'ela, ene kol elecha yisaberu. Kol inun bnei alma metzapin umezakpin aynein le'elkut shabrichu, begin kach kol inun bnei mehemnuta, ban bechol yoma v'yoma, ושאלה מזוני ומקדוש ברוך הוא צלה צלותון עלי." So it says something interesting, right? Really fascinating. First of all, number one is that every person is worried about Parnassa. Every person is thinking about Parnassa. So therefore what happens is that a person comes, a person who's religious, observant somewhat, what happens is that he comes and he prays every day for Parnassa to Hashem. He knows that it's in Hashem's hands, so he comes and prays every day to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So what does that mean? It's telling you with Zohar Kadosh that's very important that a person should pray for Parnassa every day, on a daily basis. And we do. It's already in our prayers as it is, right? Fixed in our prayers. So we do that, we pray for Parnassa. So this daily prayer is a very important element. What does that mean? A person shouldn't say, I'll pray like once a year, or once a week, and that's enough. No. Parnassa is something, it's a variable which depends on a daily effort. Where do we learn that from? We learn that from the man. Why is that? Because the man was coming every day on a daily basis. Right? So what does that mean? Every day you have to get your portion, you have to get your ration. So the Zohar Kadosh is trying to understand from this passage, that a Parnassa is a daily thing. It's not a weekly or a monthly or a yearly. Right? That's the idea. So a person has to be cognizant of that on a daily basis. Parnassa, they come and pray. So it says the Zohar Kadosh, the people who understand about that, the people who are cognizant of that, what they do is they come and pray every day for Parnassa. They do it on a daily basis. Very good. So then it says like this, right? That begin dechol man dematzle tzerote legabe kuchabrichu al mezone garim deitbarach kol yoma al yadoi. So it says this causes him to be blessed every day on that, because of that. The fact that he prays on a daily basis for Parnassa, it gives him the proper blessing that he needs for the Parnassa.
Where do we pray? Where do we say?
We just start to pray for the rain now, right? So that's the bracha, which is for Parnassa. Barech Aleinu. Barechenu. In the summer we say Barechenu. In the winter we would say Barech Aleinu. This is the bracha for Parnassa. So why is the rain included in that? Because the Rabbi Yochanan says in the Gemara that rain and Parnassa are really the same thing. It's one big unit. Why is that? Because without rain, there's no Parnassa. Rain causes Parnassa. Farming, this, all kinds of things, right? It's one variable. So that's why it's included in one bracha, in one blessing. So it comes and tells you, Zohar Kadosh, this is the proper approach. Tells you, look how far it goes in Zohar Kadosh. It says that a person shouldn't cook his food. A person cooks whatever, somebody cooks in the house. The lady, whatever it is, the man, whatever it is, whoever is cooking, he shouldn't cook, he says, the food until he has prayed first for Parnassa. Right? That's how far it goes. Look how amazing that is. Right? So he says, what's the symbol for that? The symbol is because they used to go out every day for the man. So it was a daily effort that they had to go out and get the man, to bring the man. So you see from there that it's a daily thing. So it says in Zohar Kadosh that a person should pray first for the Parnassa before he cooks. Why is that? Because the cooking also needs blessing. It needs heavenly assistance. Food should come out good, delicious, healthy, nutritious, everything, whatever. So in order to do that, you need to first pray before you in other words, don't get involved with the issue of Parnassa, which food is the main element there, unless you first pray for that. Don't start doing the practical element until you first do the prayers. That's what it says. It says also further, except what? For Shabbat, right? For Parnassa, on Shabbat we don't pray for Parnassa. We don't pray for any personal requests. We don't make on Shabbat in general, right? We don't, right? We don't do requests on Shabbat. Why is that? Because on Shabbat we have everything, It's like you got everything. You're supposed to be satisfied the way it is. That's it, right? Don't have any personal requests on Shabbat. Shabbat is
when we open the ark or when we elevate the Torah, we cannot ask God give.
No, you shouldn't do personal requests over there. No, you should not. Not on Shabbat. On weekdays you can do, right? That's something else, right? It's a different story. Okay, so then it goes on to say like this, right?
Let me ask you another.
Yeah.
You said personal request.
Yes.
How about if you pray for everybody? Hashem give everybody permission.
That's also personal because you're making it. You're making it. In other words, you're making it up. You can do communal. What does that mean, communal? That it's in the Siddur already, like in the text of the Siddur. That's what we do. Whatever's written down in the text, we do. Whatever's not in the text, to make up something personal, we don't do that, right? We don't do that. Not allowed to do it. Right? That's the idea. So it says like this, right? The Zohar Kadosh, that a person who's asked for Parnassa on a daily basis, he's considered to be a faithful person. He has emunah. You see that from there that he has faith. It's a daily kind of thing, right? That's the idea. Goes on to say, so an amazing thing it says over here, the Zohar Kadosh, is that when the man before Kadosh Baruch Hu gave the Torah to the Jewish people, it says, he first tested them with one thing, right? He tested them if they're faithful or not, right? So how did he test them if they're faithful people, emunah, with the man? What was the test? The test was like this, right? That a person goes and brings the man, but the question is, what does he do with it now? You brought it, okay, you brought it home, you went to the super, right? You got your food, what do you do with it now with the food? That's the question, right? So, the interesting thing is that it talks about two different variables over here in the Torah, regarding what they did. Some used to eat it the way it was. You understand? Some used to eat it the way it was. Some used to cook it and grind it and do all kinds of things, like Shalva does downstairs. Cooking, grinding, this, all kinds of preparation. Some people just ate it, right? So why do we have this dichotomy? Also, the sages say one thing, right? An interesting thing. Chazal say that a person could get any taste from the man that he wanted. Anything that he would wish, he would get, except a couple of things which were harmful. Besides those two things or two or three things, you get any taste from it. Right? But then, we see later on, in the book of Bamidbar, it says that it had a particular taste. It tasted like some kind of a sweet wafer, some kind of a cracker, that's the taste it had. Like a honey wafer, honey cracker, honey bread. But wait a second, you told me I could get any taste. Now you're telling me they taste like a sweet bread? What's the catch? So it says in Zohar Kadosh, this was their test. You understand? The question is, are you going to just take this man and eat it the way it is, and you get any taste you want? But there were some people who didn't do it that way. They growled it up, they cooked it, they need all kinds of preparations. Who told you to make these preparations? You yourself decided that you need to prepare. So the ones who used to prepare it, understand, they can only get one taste out of it. This is unbelievable, right? What's the reason why? Because it says, right, the Zohar Kadosh is telling you that the ones who didn't prepare it, they were faithful people. They didn't want. They knew that whatever Hashem sent them was perfect as it is. It doesn't need any preparation. Understand? This is not a supermarket. You go and you buy some meat. You have to cook. You have to do this, soaking and salting. No, it's a straight. You eat it. It's from Hashem. It's ready-made food. It's a catering. No, right? No, exactly. No, nothing. It's all ready. So then, why those people who were grinding and kneading and baking. For what to do all these things? You know why? Because they lack emunah. What does that mean, that they lack emunah? That means that they didn't really believe you can get Parnassa for nothing, just like that. No, you got to work for that. There's no free lunch. You know what I mean? So they were like their past, conceptions stayed with them. They couldn't rise above that. They couldn't rise above that conception. Oh, you have to work. You gotta be work hard. But wait a second, Hashem is giving you for free. No such a thing like that. I don't believe that. So you understand? So this person is lowering himself by not believing a reality that exists. It's right in front of your face, it's right under your nose, but you don't believe it. So what is it trying to tell you over here? This HaKadosh Baruch Hu tested them like that. What was the test? What was the test? The test was, do you believe me that I'll give you everything you need, or do you think, right, that even if I give you, you still have to do something? This is the idea. So how does that compare to what we do today? What's the comparison? The comparison is, right, that there are people who totally believe in Hashem. They're faithful. So what do? They sit and learn Torah all day. There are people who don't believe. They say, wait a second, if I sit and learn Torah all day, who's going to support me? What am I going to do? What's going to be with me? What I'm gonna die of hunger, die of thirst. I'm going to ask the president, to give me money. Go to so. Ask this guy. I don't want to do that. I want to be an independent guy. I want to be on my own. So I don't believe that. I have to go out. There are people like this also. They don't believe. They don't have the faith to say Hashem can really support me. It can be such a thing like that. They don't believe that. So Kadosh Baruch Hu says the Zohar Kadosh, he tested them like that.
But doesn't it say somewhere in the Bible that you try and Hashem will help you also?
The truth is that this concept is, I don't think it comes from a Bible. It's more like a practical, communal kind of practical thing. The people made up from their own, from whatever you want to call that, right? It's a communal thing, kind of thing.
Excuse me for interrupting, but once I even heard the Darash, when Moses came with the children of Israel for the Yamsuf, for it opened, nobody was totally and somebody jumped in, King David's
Right.
ancestor.
Yes.
So that shows that you have to try, and then once he jumped in,
that was the emunah, right? That's the idea. The emunah over there was to jump in. You understand?
Yeah, but you try. You depend on Hashem, but you try.
Right. But the thing is like this, right? That over there, it's just the opposite of what is over here. What does that mean? Over there, by jumping into the water, you're relying on a miracle, basically, because the water shouldn't split because you jump in. You know what I mean? It should not split. So the fact that you're jumping and you're forcing it to open, you understand? That shows that you're going against nature. This is just the opposite of what we're talking about over here. You know what I mean? There you're going with the nature. Here you're going against the nature.
Okay, so don't do anything and he will support you.
So what does that mean? That a person who didn't want to jump in, he was scared. He was scared. So he was going with the nature, But the person who jumped in, he was going against the nature. So it's a little bit different, you know what I mean? Not exactly the same thing. But anyway, the point is, right, that a person who really is on a high level, he knows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give him anything he wants. So therefore, he knows that I can sit and learn Torah, and nothing will bother me. Nothing will disrupt me. But a person who doesn't believe that so much, what happens is that he says to himself, listen, I cannot be such a thing like that. That I'm going to just sit and learn, and everything is going to come just my way, Take this, take that, take this. It can't be like that. It's against nature. Nature doesn't work like that, So it doesn't believe it. So it says in Zohar Kadosh, there was two types of people in the desert over there, right? They're the ones who believed it, and they just ate it the way it was, and they got all the tastes. They're the ones who didn't believe it. They didn't want to grind it and cook it, all kinds of things like this. Do some physical labor. If you don't do it, there's not going to think is going to come out of it. They don't believe the fact that it could come out without that. That's the idea, So, because of that, it says in Zohar Kadosh, the ones who showed themselves to be faithful, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave them a special reward, special spiritual reward, elevation. The ones who showed themselves to be faithless, Kadosh Baruch Hu lowered their status. They made them lowered them. That's the idea. So this is the beginning of this whole concept of believing in Parnassa, not believing in Parnassa. Zohar Kadosh goes even further, by the way, regarding this. It says all kinds of very interesting things. But the truth is, that even if you before you get to the Zohar, there's a Gemara like this also. You know, the Gaon Vilna, you know what he says, right? Gaon Vilna says that if you don't really understand the Gemara until you learn the Zohar Kadosh. What does that mean? The Zohar Kadosh tells you the reasons behind the Gemara. The Gemara just tells you facts, you know, sometimes. It doesn't go into the depths of these things. It doesn't tell you all the details. The Zohar Kadosh goes more into the details about these things. So what does the Gemara say? It says in Masechet Sotah, it says over there, Ha'omer ma'ochal machar harehu kitri amana. What does that mean? If a person says, what will I eat tomorrow? He's lacks faith, that person. Right? What does that mean, lacks faith? That means that he's worried about tomorrow. Wait a second, but Parnassa is a daily thing. You know? So why are you worried about tomorrow? Today is, you're now living in today. You understand? So you're looking for the wrong day. You're in the wrong day. Man came every day on a daily basis. It came. You know? So worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow today. This is the wrong conception. This is what the Gemara is telling you, right? So if a person is worried about tomorrow, that means that he's lacking faith. What does that mean? The Zohar Kadosh is telling you that the concept of Parnassa is a daily thing. That's why you got to pray daily for Parnassa. Every day has its Parnassa. It's not a weekly, it's not a monthly. So it doesn't mean because you did something today, tomorrow will be the same. It has nothing to do one with the other. So it says Zohar Kadosh, another thing which comes out of this, you know, practically speaking, which is that a person shouldn't cook today to eat that tomorrow. Right? This is Chassidut, this is not halakha. A person halakhically can do all these things. No prohibition. But on a higher level, if a person is really a ben emunah, you should never be worried about tomorrow. Never. Tomorrow is a different day. It has its own dynamics. So what should a person really do? Make sure you pray tomorrow, because that's what's going to give you your Parnassa tomorrow. That's the idea. Make sure you go to minyan. Make sure you go to shul. And even if you didn't get to shul, you didn't get to minyan. That's it. You woke up late, right? Whatever. You were watching, you know, some things at night, whatever. And you came out late. So it happens. Even nevertheless, pray before you go out for Parnassa. First, pray for your Parnassa. Otherwise, you're missing the whole point. Understand? The whole point is first you got to pray for it. But this is a daily endeavor. So that's why the Gemara says, the one who says, what will I eat tomorrow? He's a small emunah. He's lacking emunah. He's lacking faith in Hashem. Because you don't understand how the world works, my friend. You know, you think it's a monthly, weekly. You know, if I save today, you know what I'll do? I'll eat a little bit less today so I can eat tomorrow. Because tomorrow I'm not sure if I'll have. This is a big mistake. You understand? This is a big mistake.
So you just shut down all the savings accounts.
You understand? It's a daily endeavor, Parnassa. It's eating all kinds of Parnassa, whatever it is, right? Every day has its own Parnassa. The truth is that this is born out also very simple thing, which is that they say the Chafetz Chaim, he had a store, you know, that he owned, and he would open it up, sell some merchandise, and then go study Torah. So they say, how did he do it, right? What was the system that he had? The system was that he would keep the store open until he had enough money for that day, and then he would close the store. That's exactly what we're saying. Understand? He understood that. Chafetz Chaim was on a high level. He was a real Hasid, right? So that's the idea, right? So Chafetz Chaim understood that, so therefore he only kept the store open enough to have just for that day. Not for tomorrow. For tomorrow? No, for today. Not for tomorrow. That's the idea, right? You have enough today, don't even worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow you worry, do it by tomorrow. You know, that's the idea. That's the idea. So this is a very, very important concept. So it's also brought down in Talmud as well. That a person has to have a daily kind of concept over here. Don't cook for tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow. You know, every day has its own. When a person does that, by the way, he saves himself a lot of grief, anguish, because people are always worried about these things. You know? They say, okay, today I'm okay, but what's gonna be tomorrow? You know, why? Who knows what's gonna be? You know, am I gonna be able to pay the rent, the taxes? You know, all these kinds of things. What's gonna be tomorrow? You know, tomorrow is a different event. This is the idea. You understand? Every day has a different dynamics. This is the idea. This is what the Zohar Kadosh is telling you. It's a very big. It's a very, very, very important idea. But besides that, right? It says the rabbis also, what they used to do, the big Hasidim over here, these rabbis, that they didn't even never made any food for that day until they first prayed for the food. So what that really shows, if a person has been emunah, a person has really emunah, he does everything daily. You know, comes in, prays, every day for Parnassa. So what does that mean? There are some people, unfortunately, you know how it is, right? They go out to work. They didn't have time to pray because they have to be at the job at a certain time. He's running there, didn't have time to put tefillin, runs off. And then, right, what happens? The day goes really bad. Why? Because he didn't pray, he didn't do shacharit, he didn't put on tefillin, he didn't pray for the Parnassa. So because of that, right, he already shot, everything got shot. And the truth is that they may give him anyway, even if he didn't pray. They may give him.
Yeah.
But the point is that each day it has its own dynamics. That's the idea, right? That's the idea. So the truth is, right, that what do we see from here? The Zohar Kadosh is telling you also, but this is very high level. The truth is that most people don't reach this level. The Zohar Kadosh is Hasidut. It's more than halacha. But in order to try to understand the wisdom, also very important to understand the concept over here. So, what does that mean, practically speaking? That there are people, the truth is that we find a machloket in all parts of the Torah regarding this concept. What does that mean? There is one part of the Torah which tells you, one opinion, tells you, brought down in many places, brought down in Pirkei Avot, it's brought down in the Gemara Masechet Brachot, two different opinions. What are these two opinions? One says that a person should work half a day, learn half a day, like this, and he'll be good, He'll make some money, he'll have Parnassa, also he'll have Torah. So this way it goes good together. That's one opinion, right? There's also another opinion that says, no, you can go all the way with Torah, you don't have to work at all. Go 100%, all the way, don't worry about Parnassa, it'll come, somebody will give you. If you become Issachar, you will find your Zevulun, right? Everybody will find their Zevulun. No problem, Hashem will take care of you. The truth is, right, that let me tell you something interesting. That it's brought down. Also, this machloket is brought down in the Rishonim as well. What does that mean? The Rambam says, according to the first opinion, what does that mean? That he says it's not good that a person, a chacham, should sit and learn all day, because it's going to make a chil Hashem. Why is that? He has to beg for money, he has to beg for this, he has to beg for that. So people say, listen, if you're such a big rabbi, then why doesn't Hashem give you any money? That's the idea, right? So the sense of Rambam, it's a chil Hashem. It's a desecration of the name of God. Right? So the truth is that they already jumped on him, the Rambam, the other authorities, right? Especially the later ones. And they said that he's not correct. What does that mean? Not that he's not correct in the sense that he's saying something wrong. Because as we said, there's both opinions brought down already in the Talmud and in the Mishnayot. But what they said that practically speaking, we can't go like this opinion. Practically, we can't do it. What's the reason? Why? Because they said if a person really wants to become a Talmid Chacham, there's no way for him to do both. Jack of all trades. You got to concentrate 100% on that. You have to go specialize. If you don't become specialized, especially in our generation, we're on too low a level to just say, I'll do half and half, and I'll be a big chacham, a big scholar. You won't be a big scholar. Let's face it, right? The truth is that the Rambam himself brings down both opinions as well. What does that mean? In one place, on his Perush on the Mishnayot and Mishnah Torah, he brings down the first opinion that a person should do half and half. And then later on, in the halachot of Shmid HaYovel, he also brings the other opinion as well, that a person can learn all day if he wants. He can do that. Hashem will support him. What does that mean? That it seems to have a change of mind. The Rambam, right? Later on, he changed his mind a little bit. He seemed to have switched over to the other side. The truth is that the Mefarshim already, Maran, Kesef Mishnah, Rabbi Yosef Karo, they argued with him. The Marshal and many other poskim argued with the Rambam. They said we cannot do like that today. It's not possible.
All or nothing.
What does that mean? Right. What does that mean? For the average person, it's good. For the average Joe, that's good. No problem. But if you want to be a chacham, it's not going to work out like that. You got to go all the way with that. There's no other way. Practically speaking, it doesn't work. So the interesting thing is, now look at the life of the Rambam himself, right? My daughter was just talking to me about this yesterday. She asked me a couple of questions about this. She's a young girl. She's curious. She wants to know, how does it work? This crazy world that we live in. How does it function? So what she said was, why can't a person just do half and half? Little Torah, little work, 50-50. Why not? What's wrong with that? So the truth is, right, that she's got a point. I mean, in theory, it should all work very well. But I'll tell you, right, I told her a little about the life of the Rambam, the history of the Rambam. He wrote this himself. We're not talking about historians here who wrote about him. He himself wrote this. Right, exactly. Yeah. He didn't exactly write a biography, but he wrote some memoirs, some some letters, and all kinds of things like this. Right? So what happens like this? The Rambam says about himself what happened. When he was a young man, he had a certain relative that was supporting him, so he was able to learn all day, non-stop, became a big chacham. By the age of 20, he was already like a big scholar, a big time. He was a genius, whatever. So what happened was that the Rambam became a gadol, one of the greatest of all time. Very good. But what happened was that once that relative died, okay, he had to switch gears. You understand? Sometimes a person has to do that. So what happened was that he now had to go out and work. He had nobody to support him, apparently. Or he thought so. They had nobody to support him. That's what he thought. Maybe he was wrong. I don't know. But the point is, what happened was he went out to be a doctor because that was his profession. By the way, he didn't go to medical school or something like that. He learned it on his own. He was self-taught, but he did a very good job. How good? By the way, you should know how good was the Rambam as a doctor. That until this day, there's a book that he wrote. There's also a medicinal book that he wrote. Rambam. So one of them is talking about venomous snakes. To identify them, like to know which snake is venomous and which one is not. So they say that the book they wrote about that is so good, they're using it until this day to identify the snakes, which one is venomous or not. Because there's many of them, there's all kinds of species, all kinds of things. He tells you what the species are that have, what they don't have, and also what antidote they need, right? All kinds of things. He goes into they ask this question. They're wondering today, like how did he know all these species like of snakes? Who told him all this? He didn't have Google, he didn't have any of these things. How did he get this information from? Where did he get it from? It's unbelievable. The scope of his knowledge in medicine was unbelievable. Until this day, they're like, fascinated with that. They can't come to terms with how much he knew. So what happens is, right, the Rambam has to go to work. He thinks so anyway. So he went. What did he do? He had basically 2 jobs that he was doing, working 2 jobs, moonlighting, right, whatever you want to call it, night shift. So what was he doing? In the morning, he was a doctor for the Sultan, which was the king of Egypt. He was living in Egypt at that time, So the Egypt was located in a certain city, right, whatever it was. I don't know where it was exactly, probably in Cairo, whatever, So the Sultan was over there. So he had to come in the morning and be a doctor for the family. What does that mean? He had, like a lot of girlfriends, a big harem. In the old days, right? 50 girls they had over there, swinging around, going around them. So he had to check them for VD, venereal disease, all kinds of things like this. Check them if they have this disease, that disease, all kinds of things, right? What do they call those diseases? I forgot those names already. I don't remember them anymore, right? Whatever they call them, right? Gonorrhea, right? All those kinds of names.
If all those women were with him,
because they were already going on the side also.
They went on the
side? Because you can't trust them. You can't trust them, Zona, that's all. Excuse the expression, right? You know it is, right? You can't trust them. So what happens is they go here, they go there. Also he was also going with them. He was also doing. So he also maybe caught, something, and then spread it over here, spread it over there. So that was the idea, you understand? What comes around goes around, as they say, right? What goes around comes around. That's right. So what happens is that he is going there and doing this job, checking his family, this harem, this guy. Can you imagine what a job that is for a rabbi to do this? Pretty disgusting, right? Pretty gross. So he has to do that. That was in the morning, right? So what happens like this, right? That somebody sent him a letter. Why do I tell you this whole thing? He writes certain memoirs about this, the Rambam, and he says that some young student, Talmid, Chacham, he sent him a letter. He says, Rabbi, I heard you're a big Chacham. We heard you're famous and all this, He says, can I come and study with you? Be your disciple. This kind of thing, right? So the Rambam, what does he write him back? He tells him, he says, what are you joking? He says, I personally can't even learn. I don't have time to learn anymore. He told him, he says, I'm working 2 jobs. I barely have time. He says, I don't have time to even pray. I'll explain to you what I mean by that. He says, the only time I really have time to learn is on Shabbat. That's what he said. The only time you can learn on Shabbat. Can you imagine the Rambam? This is the situation that he was in. The greatest scholar of all time, right? Whatever. This is the situation he was in. So he tells him, what's my schedule? He tells him right in the letter. Let me tell you how I live my life. In the morning I get up, very, very early, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Why is that? Because he had to travel to the Sultan. And this was like a long ride on a donkey, It was quite a distance, right? He wasn't living in the vicinity over there. So he says, I have to travel. He says, I don't have time to pray in the morning, to go to Minyan. So he says, what I do is I get on the donkey, I pray when I'm on the donkey. As I'm riding on the donkey, that's when I pray. Okay? So he says, I get there, I'm working with the sultan in the morning, with the king, until the afternoon. So he says, in the afternoon, that's the first time that I have a chance to eat something. I can't even taste something until the afternoon. I don't have time to even eat or to pray. Nothing. So he says, I get a chance to eat something, just to taste something, a little cake or something. Mezonot, no meal, no lunch. Because then I go, he says, I have my private practice, doctor's office. He had a private practice also. He probably needed both to get by, whatever, that's the way it was, right? So he says, until I'm finished, he says, it's already dark at night. I go home, he says, I'm already famished. I go straight in, hit the hay right away, right? That's the idea.
What time to learn?
That's my schedule, he says. He says, now you want to be my talmid? He says, what do you want to learn from me? What? How to ride on a donkey? What do you want to learn from me? That's my life.
You wanted to learn something else, but I'm not in this position.
That's the idea, right? So this is what the Rambam was doing, So the truth is, right, that I say, after hearing this story, one little comment, is that what? That HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed the Rambam that what he wrote originally was not correct. He showed it, because he wrote very, very strong words about that. It's desecration of the name of God, Chilul Hashem, this and that, all very strong words, very powerful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu showed him, let me show you what's it to be on the other side, to be a working man. Let me show you what it is. So you know what it is, right? That practically speaking, all the more so in our generation, by the way, that a person who gets into like a profession, a job, business, whatever it is, right? He has to go all the way with that. There's so many. He has to be so many hours and running here, running over there, hustling over here, hustling over there. It's nonstop. When you want to make money, you got to be like all the way. I'll give you also another example. That I have a friend who I study with. Somebody who's he's a dentist. He's got a good job, whatever. It's good Parnassa. Dentists they do very well. So what happens is that he moved out to the 5 towns. Like our right. So he's his neighbor. They're neighbors over there. Okay. So what happens like this, right? That now recently, he's telling me, I'm getting home late, and my wife is complaining I'm never with her. This and that. So I told him, I said, what happened to you? What's going on? Why you have such a problem with the schedule? What's the reason for this? So he says, I got so many bills now. I bought a house, I got a mortgage. I can't make it. I'm not cutting it. By the way, you should know, I warned him about this. But when he was moving, I told him, I said, don't get in over your head too much. You are still a young man.
He has emunah.
Right, but I think this was a false emunah. I'll tell you why. Because I told him, I said, listen, I said, you're moving now you're getting in over your head, buying an expensive house, and you don't really have you're not established, you don't have a business yet, you don't have a practice, you're working for other people, you're still not old enough, you're not established enough to do that. And also I told him, I said, when you move, you're moving away from the community, and over there you don't know what's going to be, spiritually speaking, maybe it's downhill. You never know what's going to be. So the truth is, I was right, to be honest with you. That whatever he did was a mistake. Whatever. He got in over his head with the mortgage, he got in over his head with expenses, and now he's suffering. Working like a madman. So why do I tell you all this? Because a person, once he gets involved in a profession, sometimes he goes a little too deep, because he finds that he can't do it any other way. It's like it becomes like an ultimatum, or this or else. That's it, right? You got no choice now. You chose this path, now you got to go all the way. That's the idea, right? So this is exactly what happened to the Rambam. The Rambam himself had this dilemma also, as we said, right? He was going here. First of all, he liked this opinion, but then it seems like once he got older and he saw what is it like to be on the other side, then he wrote also the other opinion as well. That's the idea, This is the idea. So the Rambam also, it seems like he figured out at the end that this was not the proper approach. The truth is, Elu divrei Elohim chaim. They're both the words of the living God. They're both legitimate opinions. It just depends on what? Depends on who you are and what you are. Different strokes for different folks. This is the idea, My rabbi, Rav Vadia, he used to say a joke about this, funny words. What he used to tell us? He used to say, there are some people who are from Olam Asiyah, there are some people who are from Olam Atzilut. When I spoke about the different Olamot, the worlds in the prayers, right? There's the lower worlds. As we go higher, we go to the higher worlds, right? That's what he was talking about. He was referring to this, but he was using that as a double entendre over here regarding people also. What does that mean? There are people who are in the Olam Asiyah. What's Asiyah? It's the person who does with his hands. Working man. The person who is a worker. He works. He's got a profession. He's got whatever it is. He's a doctor, a lawyer, or he's a businessman. Whatever. He's working. He's hustling. He's got to do. He's got physical labor involved there. So there are people who are more like this on this kind of orientation. They're working people. We call that in Hebrew, in the Torah, we call it balabatim. We call them balabatim. Balabatim. How would you say this in English? This is like layman, a layman, right? Right. Yeah, down to earth, a normal guy, normal. Right. That's the idea. There are some people who are from Olam Atzilut. What does that mean? That their neshama is very, very high. They can't go into the physical world too much. When they go in, they feel like they're out of their element. It's like a fish out of water. He doesn't feel good over there. So he's got to go and do his thing, become a rabbi, become a chacham. The problem is like this, right? That since you have people from this world and that world, they have to learn how to get along together. You understand? To work together, not to fight with each other. There are some places like in Israel, they're always fighting. These two, there's always fighting going on. This one says, no, you're right. This one says, no, you're not right. You're not right. You're too secular. You're too religious. You're too fanatic. You're too physical. Everyone is going his own way. The truth is, the only way to do it is to have it together, to work together. Issachar, Zevulun, whatever, this kind of thing. They have to work together. These two camps. When you have fighting between them, this is very bad. Right? It's a bad sign. Because you have to understand, there are different people in this world. Not everybody's the same. Different orientation. So what does that mean? Both of these opinions are the words of the living God. But you just have to know one thing. For your particular position and your particular orientation, your particular qualities, what's best for you? You need to understand that. Sometimes you need a rabbi to tell you. Sometimes you can understand yourself because you're wise enough to realize you know who you are. You know what you are. You know yourself.
What is rabbi going to tell you?
The rabbi has to guide you in these things. That's the job of rabbi. Job of rabbi is not just to read the Torah. The Torah is a different thing, right? That's a chazan, right? Bal Koreh. The rabbi has to guide people. Tell them, listen, this is the right thing for you. This is the halacha for you. This is the halacha for you. This is the job of rabbi to guide the Jewish people in the direction of the Torah. To be a lawgiver, to be a teacher. This is the idea. So a person has to know. Sometimes a person needs guidance. Usually when a person needs guidance? When he's young. Because in the formative years, he's not wise enough to understand, doesn't know yet who he is. He doesn't know himself. You got to get to know yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you are. So a person has to take some time to understand. Sometimes what happens is he tries this way, he sees it didn't work, then he tried the other way, it did go well. It happens. It's like trial and error sometimes. That's the way it is. Try a little bit of this. Let's see what happens over here. Let's see what happens over there. This is exactly what they say, right? There's also this machloket. The same machloket is also brought down in the Masechet Brachot, Yud Daled. It says over there, machloket between Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai and Rabbi Ishmael. Right? Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai is the Zohar. We just saw over here. So Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, go and learn all day. Be a chacham all day. Forget about the physical things.
That's it.
So they ask him, right? Who's going to do the work for us? The Goyim will do the work, he says, right? The Goyim will work for us. If we do our job, the Goyim will come and serve us, like they're supposed to be, right? So Rabbi Ishmael says, no, do half and half, 50-50, Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, jack of all trades, right? So also over there, what it says in the Gemara, right? It's a big machloket over there. One conclusion it comes up with, what's the conclusion? It says many tried to do like Rabbi Shimon, but it didn't work for them. Many tried to do like Rabbi Shmuel and it worked for them. So what does that mean? It seems like, according to the Gemara, most people seem to fall into the Rabbi Shmuel camp, not into Rabbi Shimon. We're doing a class. I'm sorry. Doing after. Yes. So you understand the point? The point is that a person has to know where he's holding. But the truth is that most people seem to fall into this camp. They have to do 50-50, or 80-30, or 60-40, whatever.
You
gotta find some combination over there, so whatever, and fall into that, and right, that's the idea. But he has to do the minimum at least. What does that mean? He should do some Divrei Torah every day, on a daily basis, a little bit in the morning, a little bit at night, at least that much, Because that one everybody's obligated to do, no matter what you are, right? Even if you're a Zevulun, you're a businessman, you still have to do some Torah. It doesn't absolve you altogether. You know what I mean? Because everybody needs Torah. No such a thing like that. A person can go without Torah altogether. Just rely on your friend, on your cousin. It doesn't work like that. You got to rely on yourself also. That's the idea, right? So that's what it says in the Gemara over there. The truth is that there were some generations also that were not like that. What does that mean? That Chizkiyahu Melech, right? The king Chizkiyahu, he put them all into kollel, everybody. He told them, you come out, you're getting stabbed. Right? I make you into a shish kebab. He threatened them. Why did he do that? But he didn't know Rabbi Ishmael, he didn't know that, all the stuff. He knew. But you know what it was? It was an emergency measure at that time.
Okay.
What does it mean, emergency measure? At that time, the level was so low because there was one wicked king, his father, Menashe. I'm sorry, his father was Achaz, also wicked. His son was Menashe, wicked man. Also, his father was wicked man, Achaz. He was in the middle, a good guy, right? He was sandwiched into the two bad guys. So what happens is like this, right? The Chizkiyahu, he saw that his father wiped out the Torah altogether. Communist. He was communist. Closed down the yeshiva, closed down everything. Communisti. Seriously, I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. He was worse than communists. So what happened was that he said, you know what? The people are so ignorant now, so sinful. If I don't do an emergency measure right now, I can't bring it back to the normal level. So therefore he did an emergency measure. He said, now everybody's in kollel. That's it, No more working. Right, exactly. It's on me. But if you don't listen to me, what's going to be with you? I give you a big knife in your back. That's it, right? Big sword. That's the way he did it. And it worked. Understand? They say once he started that program, a few years later they checked, and they saw that every little child even, was absolutely expert in all the laws, complicated laws of halakha. Tuma and Tahara, very complicated things, So he did his job. So what does that mean? Sometimes we have to do an emergency measure. Even though in the general, most people fall into the camp of Rabbi Ishmael, and not Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, but sometimes we got to do emergency. You should know, by the way, this emergency measure was somewhat taken also in our generation. What does that mean? That after World War II, the Jewish people were downtrodden very badly. Wiped out, the yeshivot were wiped out. Many things were wiped out. Also the Sephardi Jews were not killed in the Holocaust, but they were on a very low level. The education was very poor. Very, very, very ignorant kind of a situation. So therefore, the rabbis, who came to Eretz Israel when the country was founded, they said, we have to make a program like this. The people are learning all day, just sitting and learning all day, no interruptions, no this, just go and learn. We'll give you a little money, a little food, a little whatever. We'll take care of you. Stay there and don't get out. Don't come out. So this actually also worked. Nowadays, Baruch Hashem, because of this emergency measure that they took, those big chachamim that we had, like the Chazon Ish, and the ones who came after him, they're the ones now, because of their zechut, we have big Torah now in Eretz Israel. Because they forced these people, they said, you gotta go. You gotta go and study all day. Don't do any work, don't do anything. We'll pay you. The secret, by the way, to the success, and this also we have to emulate that somewhat over here. We're talking about this, right? You know what the secret is? To be honest with you, the bottom line, we were talking about food, right? That's that's also good. There's something even bigger than food, which is money, cash. Right? What does that mean? What do I mean to tell you? That this is actually a true story, I'm telling you. The rabbi told us, he told us that when they were starting out these programs, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, in Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, in the Bukharian quarter, nobody wanted to come and study. What, are you kidding me? They tell you, study? I'm working. What are you talking about? I got to do my job. I got to make a living. What study? They used to pay them to come. That's how they got them to come in. The only way, the truth is, our generation is so low, that people won't come until you pay them. Even if you give them something meager, sometimes they'll come. You know why? Because they see that as like a symbol. Oh yeah, there's something to go for. This is the generation that we're in. The person has to be paid. So what does that mean? That today you cannot run a kollel without paying them. Nobody will show up. Nobody shows up. As I told you, right? There are some fools, that show up. But besides that,
does it make two of us? In this case?
You know what I mean? This is the way it is. So the only people who show up are the ones you pay. I'm not talking about classes. Classes, they'll come. But when it comes to kollel, to be there all day, nobody comes.
Yeah, let's start with the classes, then we'll worry about it.
Right. But this is also a very important concept, See, the kollel is a very big mover for the community. You should know, by the way. When there's Torah going on there, the place gets blessed. It's a magnet for all the blessing. Everything grows from there. All the trees start to grow, the grass, the herbs, the flowers. It all comes from the Torah. The blessing of the Torah is what brings it. Once you have Torah over there, the place becomes like a magnet for people. People are coming from all over. All of a sudden they're coming in there. Why are they coming? Because you have an engine. You got a turbocharged engine there, V12, 600 horsepower, pumping out. That's the Torah. The only thing that does that is the Torah. I'm not telling you this from theory. I'm telling you this from experience because I saw that. I saw that this is the way they built the Torah. The only way to build a Torah is just to give them something. Give them something, It doesn't have to be $1 million. Give them something. Bring them in. Tell them to come in. The only way they'll come is from money, because they say, if I don't, they don't pay me, I got something else to do. I got a different alternative activity. Yeah, all kinds of things. I'll take a job over here. I'll take a job over there. Some odd jobs. When you pay them, all of a sudden, their faces change. Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, hi. I didn't see you for a long time. Okay, where's my check? Thank you. Okay. So the truth is, that a person has to understand that even though this may be like somewhat insulting to treat the Torah like this, but in our generation, that's the only way to do it. It just practically speaking, doesn't work any other way.
So how do we become rich?
By supporting the Torah. That's the idea, That's the idea. So you have to know, by the way, all the people who became rich, the rich Syrians, because of that, because they support the Torah. They all support the Torah, yeshivot. That's the idea. So what are we saying over here, right? What's the conclusion over here from all these things? That a person should be a person of emunah. That he should. One thing to understand is that Parnassa is a daily event, it's a daily occurrence. It's not monthly, it's not weekly, it's not yearly. Coming just on Yom Kippur is not enough, making a donation. A person has to, every day has to make an effort for Parnassa. Pray for Parnassa, give a little tzedakah, right? All these kinds of things, especially learning Torah. As we said, Torah is also a very big thing for Parnassa. The biggest. Talmud Torah kenegat kulam. Torah is the biggest thing for Parnassa. So all these things, together, but a person has to know that it's a daily effort. He has to have amunah. A person who really has amunah never worries about tomorrow. Never worries about the next day. No, what are you talking about? Next day? Today I'm good, no? Baruch Hashem. Tomorrow will also be good. Because if you really believe in Hashem, you should know that He will never abandon you. He'll never leave you like that, stranded. Hashem doesn't leave anybody stranded. And if you see somebody who's stranded, you know why that is? Because they've given up on life. They've totally corrupted themselves to a level where it's already beyond. That's how they are. Mentally ill already. Mentally very, very, very ill. But person who, right? We say, right, in the Birkat HaMazon, what do you say? Ki welzanu parnassa kol. He gives parnassa to everybody. We said in the Birkat HaMazon. Everybody gives parnassa. Whether it's a goy, whether it's a Jew, whether it's an animal, right? Whatever it is. Another thing I want to tell you. We finish with this. There's also a Mishnah in Masechet Kiddushin. In the end, the last Mishnah over there also talks about this issue. What does it say over there? Something very interesting. Also, different angle. Same concepts, but different angle. It says over there, several opinions brought down over there. But one of the opinions which says regarding this, first of all, the first opinion says like this: you should teach your son, your child, teach him a profession which is easy and clean. Why is that? Because every profession has poverty and wealth. No such a thing like that. That your profession will determine whether you're poor or rich. You understand what I'm saying? So therefore, it's not a matter of which profession you choose. It's a matter of doing something which is easy and clean. Why is that? Because when you do something which is easy and clean, that means the conditions will be good, and then whatever Hashem will give you according to your mazal, according to your merit, that's what you'll get. That's the idea. So a person has to know, do something easy and clean. Why is that? Because if you do something difficult, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll have more money. There's no equation like that in Parnassa. Oh yeah, I'll do like a very complicated profession, and then I'll make more money. No, it has nothing to do with that. You can have a very simple profession and make a lot of money. Become a millionaire. So it has nothing to do with that. So that's what they say. They say, pick something easy and clean. Why? Because why make yourself suffer? It's not going to help you with Parnassa just because you pick something difficult. That's number one. Number two, there's also another opinion brought down there, which is also even deeper. It says, right, that regarding, you see the world, take a look at the world, the way the world functions, right? Take a look at the animal kingdom, right? National Geographic, right? All kinds of, right? Look at the documentaries about animals, look at the YouTube, look over there about the animals, how they live their lives. Yellowstone Park, right? All these places, right? Africa, right? This Uganda, right? All these places. The safari. What do you see over there? These animals, one thing we notice, By the way, I dare you to check me on this. Right? Check me if I'm wrong or not.
Tell me,
I dare you to check me. Right? Check me out. Investigate me. Right? It says in the Mishnah like this: we don't find any animal who has a profession. You know, there's no doctor animal. There's no lawyer. There's no accountant. That's the idea. No businessman. You know, no nothing. Right?
Everybody has what.
Everybody has what to eat.
Everybody
right?
survives.
Exactly. So what does that mean? Hashem gives also the animals what to eat. He supplies them.
Of course.
So the question is now, okay, fine, that we understand. That's a fact.
Okay, it's a fact.
But now let's make a question. So then, why do I need to have a profession? Why do I have to have a profession? What's the reason for that? So you know what the answer is, right? It says the Mishnah, because I messed myself up. What? Because of my sins, you know? Because I sinned. You know, Adam Arishon, he sinned also, right? The first sin, and also my sins as well, my personal sins. This is what causes me to be degraded like this. I have to have a profession. Because the animals are better than me. The animals are getting money without a profession. I have to have a profession. That means I've degraded myself. This is the reason why this happened. You know, this is an interesting observation.
Some of the animals are snacks for other animals also. When we don't want to be snacks for other animals.
Also another thing, right? The last opinion brought down in Mishnah, the last one, is by Rabbi Nehorai. It says, you know, what is it talking about that in the Mishnah? It's talking about professions. What profession to teach your children? What's the best thing to do? Send them over here, send them over there. So, you know what it says, Rabbi Nehorai. It says, the only thing I teach my children is no profession, just Torah. All I teach them is Torah. I don't teach them any profession, not doctor, not lawyer, not accountant, not businessman, not this, not that, nothing. So what's the rationale? Because he says, you know, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to work, when it comes to business, if you close your business, there's no more Parnassa. When it comes to Torah, it gives you Parnassa even if when you're not learning. In other words, the fact that you learned yesterday will give you Parnassa for a long time. So the Torah is the best. What does that mean? That it gives you Parnassa even the days that you didn't learn, or the time that you didn't learn, the day that you couldn't learn. The Torah gives you. In other words, what does that mean? The Torah is a better vehicle for Parnassa than any profession. That's the idea, right? So he says, therefore, I teach my children only Torah. And not only that, right? He says something even bigger than that. He says, what about when you retire, right? When you become an old man, you can't work anymore, right? So he says the Torah is like a pension plan, you know? What does that mean? That even though you cannot do it anymore, it'll still support you when you're old, you know? But the other professions are not so much like that. If you stop working, you could next day could be in the street, right? That's the idea. So therefore he says, right, the Torah is that's why I'm teaching my only Torah. That's the idea. So we see again right here this dichotomy again, right? Again, two different sides of the equation. One's more towards the work, one more towards the Torah. They're all both words of the living God. You just have to know what's best for you according to your situation, right? And the whole thing is there has to be peace between them. You know, they have to help each other. These two camps. You know, this one will supply what he has. This one will supply what he has. Each one will give us his 2 cents. This way we make one big success story. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen. Chazak u'baruch. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Now, question. I'm curious what the answer I ask you.
Of course.